Alright, we are on the bottom of page 62, and the directions read, list the fractions and decimals in order from least to greatest. So we're going to try several different strategies here. Sometimes we will convert to decimals, other times we'll convert to fractions, and other times we will compare the numbers to 1/2 and put them in order that way. So pay attention to different strategies. Use my whiteboard right here, and let's begin. So number 12, we've got 2 3/10, 2 4/5, 2 6/10. And the strategy I would use here is I would convert the 2 4/5 into a fraction. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to notice that this is in the tens place and this is in the tens place. So I want this to be in the tens place, and I can do that simply by multiplying by 2. Watch what happens here. If I multiply the numerator and denominator by 2, I would get 2 wholes with 8/10. And that's really easy to write as 2.8. So now I've got 2.3, 2.6, and 2.8. 2.3 is my smallest value. 2.6 is my next value, and 2.8 would be my last one, but remember, we write it as the fraction. We write it as the term given to us. So the answer is as shown. Okay, next one. Now this one I'm going to use a slightly different strategy. I've got 2 terms that are in decimals, and I've got 2 terms that are in fractions. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the 2 fractions and I'm going to get a common denominator. So let me show you how to do this real quick. So I'm just going to focus on, because these denominators are not super friendly, and because I'm not going to be able to easily make them hundredths, I think the easiest thing to do here would be just to compare these 2 fractions to start. So watch what I do here. I'm going to take 3/16. I'm going to take 5/48. I can't totally compare those right now because they have a different denominator, but watch how easy it would be to make them have the same denominator. I know my multiples. If I just multiply 16 by 3, I get 48. And if I multiply 3 times 3, I get 9. So now I have 2 fractions with the same denominator. I've got 5/48 and 9/48. Now remember, the whole purpose of this is I'm going to try and find the least number, the least to greatest. So the other ones are in decimals, but let's think about something real quick. I've got 0.5. What's that equal to? Well, that's equal to 1/2. And then I've got 0.75. What's that equal to? That's equal to 3/4. So let's think about these numbers up here. 5 out of 48. Is 5 half of 48? No, it's way, 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 way less. Half of 48 would be 24. So that is far less than 1/2. And since 5 is less than 9, what I can conclude is that 5/48 is my smallest value. And then let's go to this one right here, 9/48. That's less than half, because like I just said, half of 48 would be 24. So 9/48 is far less than 1/2. I'm not going to write 9/48, so I'm going to write the original fraction, which is 3/16. And now I just have to get these 2 in order. I'm thinking of the least to greatest. 1/2 is less than 3/4. Oops, I'm not supposed to write 1/2 there. I'm supposed to write 0.5 and 0.75. So what I'm going to do is just kind of review with you what I did there. I chose to put 5/48 and 3/16 first because those are both less than half, less than half, less than half, equal to 1/2, more than 1/2. So that's using just a little bit of common sense to put them in order. All right, let's check out number 14. We can kind of do the same thing here, just a little bit. We've got this one is equal to 1/2. But we might choose, I think even a better way to do this one would be decimals. I think decimals would be a really good one for this one. So for number 14, you might be able to go either way on this one, but decimals would be a good one. I've got 0.5. I need to convert 1/5. If you went back to page, I want to remind you that we have a number line on page, I think it was 59. If you went back to page 59, you could look at your number line and you would see that 1/5 is equal to 0.2. So I've got 0.5, 0.2, 0.35. Now I have to do this one and this one. I think I'll do 4/5 first. That's on the same number line. 4/5 is equal to 0.8. Now I just have this one, 12/25ths. And you might think this one looks confusing, but let me show you how easy this is to turn into a decimal. In a decimal, the first place is called the tenths, and the second place is called the hundredths, which means that if you can simply change that denominator into 100, just like this, 25 times 4 is 100, now whatever my numerator is will be in the hundredths place. 12 times 4 is 48. 48 over 100 is equal to 0 and 48 hundredths. So now I've got 5 decimals, and I've got this one's in the tenths place, this one's in the tenths place, this one's in the tenths place, this one's in the hundredths, and this one's in the hundredths. What I'm going to do to make them all look the same is I'm going to make them all be in the hundredths. So this will be 0.50, 0.20, 0.80, 0.35, and 0.48. And that might seem just a little messy, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to rewrite it right here. I've got 0.50, got 0.20, got 0.35, got 0.48, we got 0.80. Now they're all the same length. Now I can easily put them in the correct order. 0.20 was 1/5, so that goes first. And then 0.35. And then 0.48, which was 12/25ths. And then 0.50, which was actually written as just 0.5. Again, you can annex a 0 to the end of it, and then you can delete it just as quickly. And then you've got 0.80 last, which was 4/5. Alright, if that doesn't make perfect sense to you, rewatch this portion of the video. And practice, practice, practice. Okay, I think we'll do one more for this video, and then we'll end up even with the third video to complete the page. Check out number 15 real quick. So number 15 here, we've got, this will be the first one where we have some negatives and some positives. So the cool thing about this is that I'm going to go ahead and put 4 lines here. And I want to show you how the negatives actually can make this easier. Remember, we're looking for least to greatest. So the least is going to be the negative. So my 2 negatives end up over here, and my 2 positives end up over here. So that makes it kind of simple. Right now I can just ignore these, and I can just worry about my my negatives. I do need to compare those though. Which one would go first? Which one's more negative? You could pretty easily convert these to decimals. Do you remember from the number line that 7 over 10 is 0.7? So I've got negative 0.7, and then this one, 3/4. Do you remember that's 0.75? And that's also negative. So let's think about for on the number line. We start here at 0. Let's say that's 0, and we're going this way towards the left. Which one would we run into first? Well, we'd come to 0.70 first. And then if we kept going even farther to the left, it'd be 0.75. So the most negative, the farthest to the left there, would be negative 0.75, which is negative 3/4. And then the next one would be negative 7/10. Now they're close to each other, but still the negative 3/4 is just a little bit farther to the left because that's negative 75 and this one's negative 70. Now I've got my 2 positives. This one would be 0.75, and this one would be 0.8, which is the same as 0.80. And if you were at 0 and you were working your way towards the right, you would come to 75 first, so that's going to be 3/4. And you would come to 80 next, and that's going to be 8/10. So there's our answer. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it on the line. We've got negative 3/4 is the least. We've got negative 7/10. We've got 3/4. And we've got 8/10. Alright, that'll be the end of just this video, and then we'll have one more video to finish the page.